cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum, gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-923248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
To you. Welcome to the morning to the CBS newspaper review here at the CBS studios. Now today I'm not alone. I have a senior analyst and a senior journalist with me who will be helping me review the newspaper and the top stories in the dailies today. My name is Danflor Lindwe and I'll allow you to introduce yourself.
Oh, my name is Mathenge and thank you very much, Danflor.
Karibu sana. So today we have the Standard newspaper with me here, and Mr. Mathenge has the Daily Nation newspaper. Now for the top story here in the Standard newspaper, the headline reads, "Captured Justice." Now as you can see, there is a picture there of the judicial weighing balance, and yeah, the story is basically about justice being captured, and we'll be diving deeper into that story. What about the Daily Nation?
The Daily Nation is also talking about the shower officers arrest, as you can see. It is, and we really want to know why he's facing arrest.
Yes. So according to this story here, we'll start with the Standard newspaper.
Yes.
And here, according to this story, it basically highlights how this state capture of the judiciary particularly, and according to this story, it says those allied to President William Ruto, to the ruling government, they get and they're facing any allegations and accusations of graft. Maybe they have an easy way along the corridors of justice, while those who are opposing the government, according to this story, it's like the judiciary is being weaponized against them. Now it reads, legal experts and political analysts are raising concerns about a growing trend in the justice system, where individuals who break the law but sing the regime's praises appear to have a smooth run in the corridors of justice. Now in contrast, President William Ruto's critics are treated more harshly. Observers now say the legal system is being weaponized against dissenters. Now the story goes on page 4 and 5 of the Standard newspaper. Now what do you think about that? Do you think it's true the judiciary has been captured?
First of all, Danflor, I tend to think that, and it's actually the fact, judiciary should be independent. It's an independent body.
Yes.
Therefore, it should not be manipulated or be under somebody else's guidance and all that.
Yeah.
It should be independent.
Yes.
And therefore, when you say that it's actually captured, that tells that even in Kenya we do not have, there's no judiciary actually. There's no justice in Kenya.
Yes.
If for sure that is what is happening,
it
means there's no justice. You must be aligned with a particular person in order to have justice. If you're not, then you're in trouble.
And some Kenyans on social media, there's actually banter on social media, and Kenyans will say, "Sahi ukitaka justice, unaenda kwa muganga, because that's where you're assured of justice."
So why muganga is this?
They're saying, because if you go through the judicial system, we've also had allegations of juris pesa. If you're not kama hulambishi mkono ya
juris pesa means pesa. It doesn't go to pesa.
To acquire justice. but now according to this story, and the lawyer that is Gitabu Imanyara, he's saying
Gitabu Imanyara.
Yes. And he's saying state agencies have been weaponized to protect interests which appear to be purely commercial. Now Ruto is relying on this weaponization along with aging political allies to prevent his government from collapsing.
So I tend to think, again, when you talk about Gitabu Imanyara, Gitabu Imanyara is one of the senior lawyers we have in this country.
Yes.
And when he talks, then it means something is not right in the judiciary.
Yeah.
When I look at Martha Koome,
yes.
Martha Koome is not just a Chief Justice. If you look at her history, she's also a human rights activist.
Yes.
Therefore, I don't know why she should be manipulated by anybody. In fact, the position she is in today, she is supposed to be independent, fully independent, fighting for the rights of Kenyans and the right of anybody who actually feels his or her rights are being violated.
Yes. But particularly over the past year, since the June 2024 protests began around from 12th to June, actually, we saw so many people killed. The protest was labeled the Gen Z protest, and we saw so many youth killed. And in all this, we never had the voice of the Chief Justice Martha Koome come out to maybe respond to the police brutality, despite seeing the LSK president, Faith Odhiambo, she was everywhere, appearing in every scene. Even just a tweet that a violation has happened, we would see Faith Odhiambo responding to that. But over the past few months, the Chief Justice is very quiet.
She should actually lead in fighting for the rights of anybody whose right has been violated. She should actually talk, especially because of what happened in 2024, the Gen Z protests. The Chief Justice should be actually be in the forefront, because we can see what happened. We all saw what happened. Several people died. So many things happened again, which actually violated the rights of the demonstrators. It's protesters, I should say. And she remained mum to date. She should talk. And that one, if she's not careful, this actually headline might actually be talking about her. Someone might even might be proving this right, saying that whatever the newspaper is saying, that is right, because she has never.
We don't hear her voice at all.
We've never heard anybody talking about it.
Now, according to this story, it says that those allied to President William Ruto, they have it easy in the corridors of justice, while those opposing him have it a bit rough. Now, recently, remember, like MP Waluke, before the Kenya Kwanza regime came into power, Waluke was facing allegations of graft of more than 200 million Kenyan shillings, and after that, we're now seeing him walking freely out here.
Actually, he had been jailed.
He had been jailed for a while. Yes. Then after the
meaning, whatever he had done was actually was wrong. Actually, it was crime. He had already committed crime. But when he aligned himself with the current government, ni kama alioshwa alipata mwosho mmoja, that's what it means.
Another person we have been seeing is, remember, like Didmas Baraza, and it is even being highlighted here. In 2022, the Kimilili MP was charged with fatally shooting an aide to a rival during a chaotic election day. So he was acquitted in July 2023 when a court cited inconclusive ballistic evidence. Now, despite this, Kenyans have continued, particularly on social media, they've still been calling for Baraza's arrest. Since then, Baraza has sued political opponents for defamation and remains firmly in parliament. He continues to praise the president fervently. Now, last week, he held demonstrations in Trans Nzoia, accompanying Bungoma, supporting the government's leasing plan against critics from his background in Trans Nzoia County. So we are seeing also that is someone else that the government has kumpatia mwosho mmoja.
And I don't think anybody, like you just said, anybody who aligns himself with the government of the day, then mwosho mmoja inakuwa ndio order of the day. The formula, yes.
Okay, now a quote here by Dennis Moturi. this is a lawyer as well. He says institutions like police are increasingly viewed as enemies of the people rather than guardians of the law. So trust erodes, confidence collapses, and in that vacuum, the rule of the jungle takes over. Like we're seeing now, Kenyans are opting for Muganga.
What does it mean? It means there's no justice in Kenya.
There's no justice, yeah.
So for Muganga, it means you either go, Muganga is a spiritual matter.
Yes.
It's more of a spiritual matter. So
yes.
They don't believe in whatever the government, the system of the day.
Yes.
They would rather go now that direction.
Yeah.
And you find even those who are Christians, or maybe those who are Christians or Muslims, whoever, and you find them actually, again, they believe that only God can actually be their fighter, the defender. So I tend to think the government, having been elected by the people, it should actually defend them. It should be there for them. Not those few people who go against or who actually bring loyalty to them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, for instance, like yesterday, we saw Kalonzo Musyoka, the Wiper Party leader. Yes. Now, he came out with fresh allegations that the government is planning to go after George Natembeya, the Trans Nzoia governor.
Yes.
And this, according to Kalonzo, he alleges that the government is going after Natembeya because how vocal he is. Particularly, Natembeya has been speaking against the government. He has been very critical against President William Ruto's administration. Now, according to Kalonzo, today is 19th, and he says now today the government will be using the EACC, the DCI to go after Natembeya. So we'll definitely be keeping you updated on that. Will the allegations by Kalonzo Musyoka actually bear fruit? Are they true? Will Natembeya be will he be arrested today, or was it just a false alarm?
I've just read this newspaper again. Now you're taking us back to, and now taking us to Nation, where again says Gachagua faces arrest.
Yes.
So it means that Gachagua and Natembeya, both of them, they are following the same, sailing in the same boat.
Yes.
And there's something common about these two people. What is it?
They're both critical about of the
That's one. And what else?
They're leading the opposition.
Okay, leading the opposition. And another one? Okay, fine. Gachagua, he was once at Adio.
Yes.
Adio he was an administrator. Yes. Natembeya was also a regional commander, not commander, regional. He was a regional administrator again.
Yes.
Yes. So both of them are administrators.
Yes.
So it means like it shows that administrators are in trouble with the government of the day.
Yeah.
Is it that there's something that they know that we don't know, or there's something that they know that is actually scaring the government?
Perhaps they know something. Okay, particularly noting that Gachagua has been coming out with very heavy accusations that no one has heard of. For instance, there's an ongoing construction in the Ngong forest.
Yes.
And Gachagua has come out with allegations alleging that it is President William Ruto who is funding that construction. Again, Gachagua usually comes out with, allegations no one has heard of. So probably they do know something that the rest of Kenyans are not aware of.
I remember him being he was actually second in command. So there's a lot that he knows. And whatever he says, we want to believe it is true.
Yeah.
Whatever he says, it is true because he was there.
Yeah.
He was actually second in command. So he knows the government inside out.
Yeah, very close to the president actually.
Yeah, he was actually part of it, in the presidency. So he knows whatever he says.
He's saying.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else is being highlighted in the Daily Nation?
In the Daily Nation, again, we have issues of teachers.
Okay.
As you can see, teachers actually saying, actually, this will be in the standard. I've seen it very well.
Okay, so according to the standard on matters education, inside secondary schools shake up in preparation for CBC transition.
Yes.
Now, as we know, learners will, for the first time, particularly grade 10 learners, will enroll in secondary schools from grade 10 coming 2026 January. And according to this story, a funding system that mirrors the university funding model is being considered for the CBC transition. Now, the Ministry of Education is proposing for redistribution of teachers to address shortages. Now, definitely CS Ogamba has a lot to, on his plate with this transition from 844 to the CBC curriculum. Now, 2018, this was the year delocalization policy, which involved transferring of teachers from their home counties, was implemented, sparking protests by unions. Now, as you know, the delocalization of teachers meant that if I'm from Kakamega County as a teacher, it means that the Teachers Service Commission had a way of maybe ensuring that I don't just serve in my, I don't just teach in my county. Now they had teachers being placed
to other places,
to other counties.
Outside their
Now,
area.
yes. Now, according to this story, it's like that. There's also a funding model that will be implemented, and this funding model depends on the career pathway that a learner will take. Remember, under this competency-based curriculum, learners have 3 pathways to choose from. Now, that is a STEM pathway. They have the arts and sports and the social sciences. So we are definitely waiting to see how this goes on. Particularly, remember this year as learners were transitioning to grade 9 for the first time, we had a deficiency of classrooms. So the transition to CBC has not been easy. And so even as they are preparing a new, proposing a new funding model, we're waiting to see how that goes, because even the funding model for the universities has been opposed. The court ruled it illegal, and it was excluding. It was not fair as the government purports.
Now, before you continue, that issue of transfer of teachers from their home areas to other areas, maybe we need to look at it keenly. I think it will be also it will be unfair for a teacher who probably comes from say Western Kakamega to be transferred all the way to Kitui. And this is not her area. Remember, the salary is the same. And if there is a hardship allowance, it will be something very minimal. So I think her performance will also be affected by that. What do you think?
I think definitely, because the Teachers Service Commission has actually been having even transfer requirements. People transfer requests from teachers. People who want to be closer to their homes, closer to their children. Some were even arguing that this delocalization of teachers was causing families to break.
It has always been that. In fact, I remember there's a teacher by the name Malomba. Malomba was a teacher his other name is different. Malomba was actually working had been transferred to Nyeri. And in Nyeri, that was not his home area. So over here, he had not gone home. Eventually, he ended up having a new family in Nyeri. So I think also transfers, see that now that actually proves that that separation of the families. Malomba ended up having a new family because he was actually transferred in Nyeri and he could not move away from that place to
see the wife often.
And the wife was also a teacher. Apparently, she was also a teacher. Somewhere else. But I didn't think not only teachers, even you find even police officers, they suffer the same.
Okay, now moving on to another story. Yesterday we saw Karua denied the entry and deported from Tanzania. The story is being highlighted on page 7 of the Standard newspaper, and it reads, the lawyer and other human rights defenders intended to observe opposition leader Tundu Lissu's treason hearing. Now, Karua is among several regional lawyers involved in defending opposition leaders across East Africa.
My question is, why is it Mother Karua is again a victim of being thrown out of these East African region countries? The other day we saw her being actually thrown out of Uganda. Now it's in Tanzania. What is it that she knows that we don't know, and what is it that she is fighting for? Both governments or all governments in the East African region feel uncomfortable.
I feel. Particularly in East Africa, Mother Karua, I think there's an increase in an energy of dictatorship. It's like governments don't want to be questioned. The opposition is there to keep the government in check, to ensure that the policies the government is implementing are actually right for the people and not just for the benefits of the government. Now, this is not the first time we are seeing Mother Karua in the East African court. Remember, particularly after the 2022 general elections here in Kenya, when she was part of the Kenya Kwanza, the Azimio coalition with
yes.
Raila Odinga.
Yes.
Now, they went to court here in Kenya, and the story was, the case was dismissed as hot air. And she decided to move to the East African court to petition the 2022 general elections. So this is not her first time in the East African court. Now, recently, she was also in Kizza Besigye's trial in Uganda, and now we are seeing her in Tundu Lissu's trial in Tanzania. Again, these are all opposition leaders they're facing repression in their countries.
Yes.
So,
my question is again,
yes.
Martha Karua is actually fighting for these opposition leaders.
Yes.
Now in Kenya again, she's okay. In Tanzania, she's fighting for opposition leader in Tanzania,
Yes.
and then in Uganda the same.
Yes.
And here in Kenya, she's an opposition leader also.
Yes.
So it means that they are attracting each other, or there is that spirit of togetherness, I should say.
Yeah. I think even as much as we're saying East Africa, we've gained independence around the 1960s.
Yes.
But till date, democracy in the region is not as mature as we would expect. And I think just her showing up to defend, not so many people can show up to defend someone when something is going wrong.
Because, and especially Uganda, I want to think that, Uganda, when you look at Uganda, you find that it's more of it's a dictatorship. No, let me not put it that way. But when you look at it keenly, it's more of actually.
Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act. First opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates.
Join our team at AYTB in partnership with Competitive Manpower. AYTB is seeking qualified candidates for the following positions: Technical Advisor, QA or QC Personnel, Shop Coordinator, Report Organizer, Rotating Equipment Repair Technician, Valve Overhaul Technician, Machining Technician.
Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available. Looking for a trusted supplier for all your household hardware needs? Look no further than Competitive Hardware Limited. We provide top quality building materials including cement, all types of iron sheets, paints, PPR and PVC pipes, electric pipes, building grills, BRC and square till in various sizes. Need interior and finishing materials? We've got you covered with gypsum rails, marine boards, ceiling boards and tanks of all sizes. For fencing, we stock barbed wire, chain link and wire mesh. And the best part, we offer free countrywide delivery with our fleet of transit trucks and pickups. Your order arrives on time, every time. Visit us in Kitengela along Namanga Highway, opposite 411 stage, or at our branches in Kitisuru and Busia. For enquiries, call us on 020-26-88-888 or 0733-666632 or 0721-92 3248. Competitive Hardware Limited, your reliable hardware supplier.
Welcome back to the CBS newspaper review this morning, as we're highlighting to you the top stories in the Standard newspaper captured justice, and we've just discussed this of how the judiciary might not be as independent as we thought it ought to be. And in the Daily Nation, we have Gachagua faces arrest, and we've just highlighted to you a depth into that and how he is very critical of the government. Now, as we dive deeper into other stories, he still on matters Gachagua, a headline here on page 8 of the Standard newspaper, why Gachagua's party is Ruto's new headache in Mount Kenya region. Now, according to this story, the former deputy president resigned from the UDA party just 3 days before launching his new party. Now, Gachagua's main initiative is to wrestle UDA out of the Mount Kenya region. Now, what do you think about that? Will he manage that? Or?
Well. Number one,
yeah,
you must know that and remember, Mount Kenya region is actually played a major role bringing the government to power.
Yeah.
Actually, I should say it. Actually, it gave Ruto how many votes? About over, I'd say 50% of the votes from Mount Kenya region. And now, that was also Gachagua's role, actually. We should say that Mount Kenya, Gachagua was also actually in the forefront, actually, ensuring that Ruto gathered all those votes. Now, when Gachagua was thrown out of the office, automatically Mount Kenya became hostile because of that.
Yes.
Now, that one alone makes now that become a Ruto's headache, because it means that the support he had in Mount Kenya is already gone.
Yeah.
And now Gachagua has created a new party that will ensure that Ruto does not have it. In fact, Mount Kenya did not have a party. Did you know that? It didn't have a party.
It didn't have a party.
Didn't have a party.
Yeah.
Actually, it was riding on
Jubilee.
not on Jubilee, on Kenya Kwanza.
Okay.
Actually, Kenya Kwanza is on at Kenya, Mount Kenya. I was riding on this. Yes. So that one alone makes now there's a big division.
Yes.
In the Kenya Kwanza.
Now, according to this story, it's like the existence of remember, Gachagua's party is called Democracy of the Citizens Party, and their tagline is "Kiza wa Kenya." You know, they want. It's like the Kenya Kwanza government is not listening to Kenyans, and what Gachagua is coming in with is a proposal. It's actually not a proposal. It's that a movement to listen to Kenyans more. Now, according to this story, the state, it is a quote by Njeri Maina. This is the Kirinyaga woman representative. He says that they, referring to the state, have already started sponsoring many political parties to confuse our people so that we lose focus, but we are alert. So according to this story, there are a number of parties, particularly in the Mount Kenya region. We are having the NDCP by Gachagua. We also have the former party by the late President Mwai Kibaki, PNUSD. Still have PNU.
And we also have the DP also.
Yes.
Yes.
So there are fears that the Mount Kenya vote might actually be split in the coming general elections. Will it be split, or will the entire Mount Kenya population go into one basket?
I tend to think that one is another trick also.
Yeah.
We have to be careful.
Yes.
Many parties would definitely split that party. I mean, votes in
Yes.
in a particular region.
Yes.
So any party, if you may recall, during 22, that's when Kibaki came into power.
Yes.
All the parties came united,
Yes.
and that's how they were able to remove Moi from power, because of that unity.
Yes.
But before then, they had tried, and they could not do it because they were actually divided. There were so many. That time we had Kibaki had his own party. We had Matiba had his own party. Again, we had Raila and his party was there.
Yeah.
We had, and many others. There were so many of them. So gave Ruto, Moi a room actually to ride again on it. So likewise here, but when they united, they were able to remove him.
Okay.
So here again, this can happen. If they are united, they will do it. If they don't,
they will lose again.
They will lose again. That's how it is.
Okay.
It's very hard to remove somebody in power. Not only in power, if you're not united, be rest assured.
And remember, Ruto has said, yes, one term, and in as much as Kenyans on social media are insisting that President William Ruto will be the first one-term president in Kenya's history, the president and his allies have said it's a no. We must go the full 10 terms, 10 years.
Now you're reminding me somebody in the Kenya Kwanza saying that we will not lose it. And even if we are going to ensure we don't lose it.
Yeah.
We have our system and we will ensure we don't lose it.
Yes, we had Oscar Sudi particularly, that is Kapsaret MP Oscar Sudi. He said if those votes zisipoja tutajaza wenyewe.
What does it mean? What does it mean when you say that zisipoja tutajaza wenyewe?
Maybe he was alluding that the Kenya Kwanza coalition might rig the 2027 elections. But again, we are not sure of that.
We leave it to them.
We leave it to them and we wait to see how the 2027 general elections will be conducted.
Sure.
Now, on another story here, on the Standard newspaper, a story about top state officers say budget cuts to hurt service. Now, the DP's office had sought up to 694.6 million shillings for hospitality, but received 523.8 million shillings. Now, both offices say reduced financial allocations will affect attainment of the targets. Now, when they say both offices, they refer to the Deputy President's office and the office of the President. Remember, these two offices have been facing backlash, particularly from Kenyans, because they're increasing their budgets.
You remember the first time Gachagua came into power, actually the house, the residential, the official residence of Deputy President,
yes,
actually is very new. Even the office itself is still new, and you had that the amount of money that had set aside for renovation was equivalent to even coming up with a new building, rather than the one that is there. Equivalent to coming up with a new building, fully equipped and all that, and furnished. But now you see that they were talking of furnishing the office again. That amount was too big. That was a very huge amount of money.
But remember, this is coming at a time, these top officers, the top state officers, are increasing their budgets at a time when the country is facing a lack of vaccination, the BCG oral vaccination that is given at birth. We're seeing mothers, even on social media, they're asking, where can I get this dosage? Where can I get the first vaccination?
There's a shortage of drugs.
There's a shortage of drugs in the country.
So the government is actually should be giving priorities to them. Should be prioritizing the health of the nation. But it's not doing that.
It is not.
That's why you see that people are suffering. We've seen actually, like you're saying, I went to another hospital in Nairobi and there are no drugs. And not even far. With the KU referral. There are no drugs actually. People suffering from cancer, they don't have drugs.
And that is a national hospital.
It's a national, and it's very new. It's actually said to have all the state of the art facilities. But now there are no drugs. They are being referred to other private hospitals.
At the same time, we also had even the Ministry of Education is facing its own challenges. Remember, at the beginning of the year, there were no books for grade 5, 6, and 7. Despite that, there was allocation, there's a budget for the reconstruction or the renovation of State House. So the question is the government, does it have its priorities right, or is it focusing on things that...
It's actually having its priorities wrong. Because now that you have mentioned education and books and all that, I remember last term, parents had been given a list of books they should do, they should buy when their kids will be going back to school. And believe it or not, even by the time they were actually going for the midterm, some of the books were not available in bookshops. Yet they were in the list of the books that was supposed to for the they were not there. And I don't think these books are yet available. They are not.
Yeah.
Yes.
So at the same time, we had also the government. There has been a lack of ARVs, HIV drugs. Despite that, we saw. We recently highlighted for you a story here last week where the government had a consignment of up to 4.4 billion Kenyan shillings worth of drugs in a warehouse, and it decided to export those drugs to Mozambique instead of releasing those drugs for use in the Kenyan market. Now, we are hoping the government can address those issues and have the budget aligned to ensure that Kenya's priorities are met and not just things that Kenyans do not find a priority. Now, in other news, there was a story about Pope Leo XIV. Remember, the Catholic Church recently elected a new pope after the death of Pope Francis earlier this month.
Yeah, actually, the new Pope
Leo XIV.
Yeah, Pope 14, Leon the 14th,
yes,
was inaugurated yesterday.
Okay.
And you know, when that's when he officially came into power. Actually,
yes,
he officially took the office yesterday.
Yes.
And that means, well, do you know, becoming a pope, that means that now he's the head of state again. Actually, he's also head of state
of Rome.
Of Rome, yes.
Okay.
You know, Rome is another country. Did you know that?
When you look back at the history of the Roman Catholic Church, you find out it was actually a state.
It's a state, so he's also head of state, and there's very powerful state.
Yeah.
And the only state that is actually within it's surrounded by another country. It's a state within a state. Because it's a state. Rome is within a state. That is Italy.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, moving on to matters. Now, still on the matters, churches. Now, back here in Kenya, churches have joined hands to plant trees and clean the city. Now, a group of evangelist churches in Nakuru has come together to plant trees as part of the environmental conservation and beautification initiative in Nakuru County. This is actually a good move. Remember that there is a goal by the government to plant up to 15 billion trees by 2030, which is actually very close, not so far. So you're hoping maybe the forest cover in the country can be increased, just to ensure that environmental conservation is on the right track.
I also have a story here,
yes,
which actually which has just caught my eye here,
yes,
saying that contractors have been paid millions of shillings without delivering projects.
Yeah.
What do you have to say? We have seen so many projects in Kenya. Contractors have been paid, yet they don't deliver. I know some low roads around here,
yes,
which when you go to the system, those roads have already been repaired,
yes,
and they have everything. But when you go to the ground, nothing has happened.
There's nothing.
And even the contractors have already been paid.
Yes.
Yes.
We've also seen the Auditor General. She's actually been highlighting some of these cases, and she's saying money is allocated for these projects, for roads, for schools, for classrooms, for bridges, but none of these projects come to light because the money is squandered somewhere between the commissioning of the project and when the project is supposed to begin. Now, we'll be taking a short commercial break. When we come back, we'll highlight to you more stories in what is taking place in business, what is taking place in matters sports. Now, stay tuned. We'll just be right back.
Join our team at AYTB in partnership with Competitive Manpower. AYTB is seeking qualified candidates for the following positions: Technical Advisor, QA or QC Personnel, Shop Coordinator, Report Organizer, Rotating Equipment Repair Technician, Valve Overhaul Technician, Machining Technician.
Contact us today on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. You can also visit us at Waterseas Plaza, Kikorok Road. Alternatively, you can send an email to info@competitivemanpower.com. Apply now. Limited slots available. Competitive Manpower International Limited is recruiting delivery riders in the United Arab Emirates. If you have a passion for the road and a desire to work in a fast-paced environment, then this is your chance. Don't wait. Send your applications to competitivemanpower@gmail.com. Want to apply in person? Visit our offices at Kiko Road behind the Casa Hotel, KCB River Road, Nairobi. For more details, call us now on 0721 506627 or 0733 392180. Act Fast opportunities are limited. Secure your spot today and start your journey as a delivery rider in the United Arab Emirates.
Now, welcome back to the CBS newspaper review here this morning, as we had highlighted for you a story about how government constructors do not complete their projects and up to billions of funds goes towards due to that. And now moving on to matters business. Here in the Standard newspaper, a headline reads, strict EU protocols cut Kenya's fresh vegetables exports by half. Now, the European Union's recently introduced strict regulations on pesticide use, which halved the value of Kenya's fresh vegetables exports in 2024, even as the country also sold less than 100 billion shillings worth of cut flowers overseas in the years. Now, here in Kenya, we use a lot of pesticides in our produce, which according to the European Union, they don't want those pesticides in the products we export. And this has actually turned out to affect the revenue in the country because we're not exporting as much.
In fact, besides that,
yes,
it's also affecting our health.
Yes.
You know, before then, we used pesticides.
Yes.
Even in our agriculture and all that.
Yes.
This was introduced far much later. Because when you look at like our foregrandfathers and all that,
yes,
are using actually a natural method, growing crops without pesticide and all that.
Yes.
But then, now this, when it was introduced, now we ended up having all the chemicals in our farms and all
yes,
that. That's why you saw some people the other day when they ate, they took milk from a cow that had been vaccinated?
Yes.
You remember?
Yeah.
Now vaccination, now it's part of the chemicals that we have in our farms.
Yes.
They have a side effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I tend to think even European Union, they don't want to have that.
Those chemicals in
Those
their
chemicals
food.
in their food, yes.
Now, according to the story, the value of fresh vegetables dropped from 50.9 billion shillings to 23.4 billion shillings due to the interceptions by destination markets. And fruit earnings during the period, however, increased from 32.4 billion shillings in 2023 to 41.0 billion shillings in 2024.
Can I talk about these pesticides?
Yes.
When did you buy tomatoes?
Last night.
Last night, yes.
Yes.
You find those tomatoes are already ripe.
Yes.
And normally, under normal circumstances, how long does it supposed to stay? I mean, before it decays?
When you buy a not so ripened tomato,
yes,
it stays maybe some 5 days before.
5 days,
yes.
yeah. Now this time round, you buy the one that is ripe already.
Yes.
And it can even stay for 2 weeks.
Yeah. Without going bad.
Without going bad. What does it tell you?
The presence of chemicals affecting the
yes,
lifespan of the tomato.
And I tend to think European Union also have seen that.
Yeah.
That's why it's happening.
Now, what is the business? Any business story on the Daily Nation?
Yeah, here in Kenya again we can see that they want to expand roads from Nairobi to Nakuru to Nairobi.
Yeah.
Highway it needs to be expanded starting in July this year.
Okay.
That road actually of late, I don't know when you used the road. It's very narrow compared to the way things are, because we have continued to expand in business and all that.
Yeah.
Our roads have got so many vehicles, so they need to be. The highway will be expanded to accommodate all these vehicles around.
Okay.
So I want to believe that they want to actually to expand the road for about 170 kilometers to have a four-lane carriageway from Rironi, Limuru,
yes,
to Mount Summit. And this project is expected to start in July and will be implemented under public-private partnership.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting development there. We hope it will actually be built as has been reported, and it shouldn't just remain a story with a budgeted with some budgeted amount. Now, moving on to matters investment, pastoralists receive up to 590 million shillings funding boost. Now, pastoralists in the arid and semi-arid lands have received a 500, that is $500 million boost through livestock value chain. Now, speaking in Nairobi, Kenya Development Corporation Director General Nora Ratemo said the initiative aims to unlocking capital building resilience and proving that Kenya's pastoralist economies are ripe for investment. It's actually a good place to invest in, particularly in the ASAL regions. Those people need a boost in terms of economy, in terms of just supporting their cultural activities.
In fact, when you look at these pastoralists, they are the ones actually, they play a major role in the economy of this country.
Yes.
You find that, for example, Kenya Meat Commission, most of their customers,
yes,
or rather, the distributors are from the pastoralists from northern Kenya and also South Rift.
Yes.
Yeah. So they have a major role to play in our economy. Yes.
Now moving on to matters agriculture, Planet Action. On page 20 of the Standard newspaper, how a farmer is turning poultry waste into cheap, clean energy. Interesting story. So by turning chicken waste into biogas, Joyce Karani not only reduces her household expenses, but also contributes to fight against climate change. And her story highlights the positive impact small-scale farmers can make in lowering energy costs while promoting a cleaner environment.
That's interesting
story.
Biogas, we have we've seen even other farmers also using the biogas.
Yes.
We've got cows and all that.
Yeah.
They use all these facilities from biogas at home.
It is actually interesting because we're seeing a lot of youth coming up with innovation, even with we're seeing plastic being used to create, the rock, matofali.
Yeah, they used to do the action, they do that matofali.
Yes, yeah.
And
Kenyans should be encouraged, particularly the youth, to embrace such innovation, which is climate adaptive, but at the same time, it helps in the economic growth. Now, finally, on matters sports. Now, on page 29 of the Standard newspaper, 2 losses leave Kenyan champions Thunder shocked. Now, Thunder face an uphill task as they need to win 3 out of their remaining 4 ties. Now, they clash with South Africa and will be in their 3rd match tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll be watching that game, and so the result is that South Africa had 77 against 87 Libya, and Rwanda had 92 points against Kenya's 63 points. So Rwanda were actually the ones who beat Kenya in the 2 losses that leave Kenyan champions Thunder shocked. Hopefully in the match tomorrow we'll be able to redeem ourselves. Any sports story there?
Yes, here in the nation you can see Omanyala bouncing back into the form. And we are told that Omanyala is the fastest man in the world, and he's likely to take winning again, strike to the Rabat Diamond League set for Sunday in the Moroccan city. Omanyala, if you remember, this man is the fastest person. And we believe that, I used to think that Nasrana Bolt was the fastest person in the world.
I also used to think the same.
I don't know.
It's turning out to be Omanyala.
Omanyala is there. We're told he's the fastest man in the world again. And that's a Kenyan.
That's a Kenyan.
That's why he's actually flying our flag high.
Very well. And it's good to be represented out there. Now, the Kenya police take lead in National Boxing League. And according to this story, Kenya led with 24 points. The Kenya police led with 24 points. Nairobi County came in second, still with 24 points. Then Nakuru County 10 points, Kisumu County 9 points, and Busia County 6 points. Now we'll be keeping you updated on more stories as we progress during the day. Now remember to stay tuned for more updates in our subsequent bulletins during the day at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. We close the newspaper review this morning. And remember to grab yourself also a copy of the dailies and delve deeper into the stories we have not highlighted for you this morning. My name is Danflor Lindwe.
And my name is Joseph Mathenge.
Stay tuned.
Welcome to Competitive Training Institute, empowering you with in-demand skills. At Competitive Training Institute, we equip you with practical, job-ready skills that open doors both locally and internationally. Whether you're aiming to become a qualified caregiver, certified plumber, skilled automotive mechanic, or want to learn a foreign language like French, Arabic, or German, and many more, we've got the right course for you. Our hands-on training